I work in the engineering profession and primarily with airports. So everything that I do is structured. And in order to think about how to go about getting something done, you put together a plan and you execute it on a schedule. So I've been doing that for over 30 years. So when I first learned about my cancer, it was, okay, let's execute a plan, because I know other people have gone through this before. There are many cancer survivors. If I'm going to be one, then I'm going to have to develop a plan and execute it. So I talked with my doctor. What are my options? What is the earliest possible time that I can get this done? And went forward with it that way. Maybe you might say that I've been practicing to deal with this issue in my life for all of my career. When I first learned that I was going to need to have radiation therapy, my urologist suggested that I contact PearlPoint for purposes of having someone to talk to, as well as potentially to talk about dietary issues. Having been a diabetic for a while, I understood the importance of proper eating habits. And knowing that, I felt like that the next step in this would be, what do I need to do to be able to get through this next step? Because certainly diet affects most everything in your health. Being able to talk to somebody particularly about this kind of issue, which in my case, prostate cancer is one that you don't really want to talk about. But just having the opportunity to speak about it with someone who would listen and give you some support, but it was, I thought, very helpful. And I recommend it to anyone. I underwent 7 weeks of radiation therapy treatment on a daily basis. So given that I travel extensively, that meant that put a little bit of curtailment on my ability to travel, since I had treatments every morning at 8 a.m. And I was concerned too, as my doctor was, about my energy level as I moved toward the middle or the end of my treatments. However, I was fortunate in being able to maintain my energy, and I think a large part of that was due to proper nutrition. And on one instance, I had the ability to make a day trip. I left my treatment at 10 minutes after 8, got to Nashville International and on board an aircraft by 10 o'clock. And by 9:30 that evening, I was home and able to attend my 8 a.m. Therapy treatment the next morning. And this was in the 5th week of my 7 weeks. And while I was a little bit tired, I'm sure that was because of the travel, probably more so than the treatments, because I felt pretty good the next day. I had prostate cancer, and that is a topic that not a lot of people like to talk about, and particularly men like to avoid bringing this issue up. And I've used my experience with certain people when we started talking about issues pertaining to health, if they had any prostate exams. And if the person said no, and I felt comfortable in speaking with them further about it, I would tell them my story. And so I think it was part of I guess just a natural reaction that I'd get into talking about. This wasn't a difficult thing to do. Sure, it was a little bit invasive, but after all, this is a very serious issue, and in my case, had it not been for the fact that I dealt with it proactively, I might not be here today to talk about it. What I would say to someone who just received a cancer diagnosis is, there's no looking back. You must deal with whatever it is in front of you. Get some support, develop a plan, and go forward with it so that you can know what the consequences are, educate yourself, and it's just the next step in your life. Fortunately, today, there's a lot of opportunities to beat it.